Hi. I've got some stuff here. We're going to do some ornaments, some wintry ornaments with just salt dough. And we're going to roll impressions of nature into the ornaments so that we can hang them inside and just have a little bit of extra nature inside. So the things we need to start with is our flour, salt, water, a bowl, a spoon, measuring gadget, so a 1 cup gadget and a 1/2 cup gadget. There's my Mr. Hand. And some rolling pins. And then you'll also need, we'll get those afterwards, you'll need some cookie cutters or even just a cup that has a round top that you can make round, but you can also do shapes. And then we're gonna go out and gather some things from nature that make really cool impressions that we can roll into our ornaments. So the first thing we're gonna do is follow a recipe to create salt dough. The recipe is 1 cup, wait, what is the recipe? I thought I had it. No, it's 2 cups of all-purpose flour. We want that to be white, so then our ornaments are actually white. We have a 1/2 cup of salt, just regular old salt, and then 3/4 cup of water. So we're gonna mix those all together. Here I am with my flour. I'm gonna do it. I'm doing it. I need a 1 cup measure, mystery hand. So 1 cup, this is, okay, here I am. I'm gonna level it off. 1 cup. I said 2 cups of flour. I can tell my Mr. Hand is gonna help me a little bit with the thank you knife, so I can really level this off. 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Okay, it's white flour. And then, what did I say? Oh, this is brand new. 1/2 cup of salt. Okay, so this is a 1/4 cup measure, but we just discussed this. 2/4 or 2/4 equals 1/2. If I cut this orange into half, I'd have 2 pieces. If I cut it into 4, I'd have 4 pieces. If I took 2 of those 4 pieces, I would have half. 2/4. A quarter is one of the pieces. So I just put 1 in, I think. Let's put the other one in. Mom, what? Okay, so I'm gonna mix the flour and the salt together. Mix the flour and the salt together. Okay, so now it's just a mixed up bowl of salt and flour. Now I need 3/4 cup of water. So I'm gonna take this cup, I'm gonna pour it into this cup until it gets to 3/4. 3/4, that would be 3 pieces of the orange. Or if this water, 1 cup of water was divided into 4 pieces, I would take 3 of the pieces to put in here. My gang, my mystery hands hate when I make math lessons, but everything is potentially a math lesson, especially when you're homeschooled. Okay, now I'm mixing this up, the salt dough, and I'm doing it with a wooden spoon. And I can see it's like a shaggy dough. That's what they call it, shaggy dough. And at some point, I'm gonna have to use my fingies. I think I'm gonna do that just to make sure. Oh, I have a Band-Aid. That's not cool. I'm gonna roll up my sleeves. Here we go, kneading that dough. I think it might need more water, but we'll see. We'll smush it in. It's all coming together now, the shaggy dough, but there's definitely still some dry bits in the bottom. So I might just sprinkle a little bit more water. And I'm gonna bring the water over here and I'm gonna do it. Uh-oh, mystery hands. I need, yes please. Here we go. I'm gonna do it a tablespoon at a time. There are actually 4 tablespoons in a 1/4 cup, and the water was 3/4 of a cup. So I don't want too much water at a time because there's not that much water in the first place. But I still need, I think, 1 more tablespoon of water because it feels dry. Pardon? What? Oh, it's cold water, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, some dough recipes, you're right. Like if I was making a pie dough for eating, they want you to have very, very, very ice cold water when you add it to the dough, and that helps with the flakiness. So then the butter isn't too melted, I believe. You want bits of butter in your dough so that it's nice and flaky. Okay, I think this is good. We don't care about flaky. In fact, we don't want flaky. Look, I gathered up all here, the dough in my bag, or in my hand, not my bag, and now I'm just gonna knead it with my hands until it's all the same consistency. It's very shadowy here because it's so bright. The sun is low. It's November right now. What's the date even? I don't know. 24th was Sunday, and today is Wednesday, 27th. Okay, so I've got this nice piece of dough. I'm going to divide it into 2 because I have 2 helpers, and each helper is going to have their own little workstation here, and they each have their own rolling pin, and they're going to roll it out. You want it to be thick enough so that it won't break, but not so thick that we don't have a lot of dough. So I would say if it's like a 1/2 centimeter to 1 centimeter thick, even 1/2 centimeter feels like a good width. And it's always nice to keep a ruler around so that when you're rolling, you can just check in on it. So what we're gonna do here is each of us is going to roll it out and then see what we got. Now, I did want to add, we do have some cinnamon. Does one of you want to use cinnamon in your dough? Yes, one of them does and one of them won't. And I think that's nice. So we're going to add, I'm going to make a little hole here. I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm going to put it in the hole. I'm going to close up the hole, and I'm just going to knead my dough. Whoops, I dropped it. Just knead it a little bit more so that cinnamon, and the cinnamon's going to make it smell good. The cinnamon is going to change the color a little bit, and cinnamon is such a nice flavor and smell to have in our house when it's cold outside and we want that cozy smell of warm drinks with cinnamon in them. So I'm just going to knead that cinnamon in. What I really should have done was mix the cinnamon into the water, but it was the last minute situation. So I'm just gonna keep kneading and then we'll roll out and cut. Okay, you can. Okay, so I can see my kids have done some little cutie things, and they've left some dough, and I'm back from a walk where I collected just some extras from nature so that I can throw an impression in of some nature just to remind us of what's going on outside. Always looking to bring nature in And especially in the winter when we don't necessarily always want to go outside, then if we spend some time outside, or when we spend some time outside, then we can also be bringing that nature in. So what I found, and I always look for things that are on the ground. I was in the park and I was along the sidewalk, and so I just found some items that had fallen from trees. So I found a cone, I found some branches. That's a spruce. This is white pine, which I love to feel. Oh, it feels so good. I'm sure you've seen me do that before. I also found some yarrow, and this is from my neighbor, and they will not mind that I took a little bit. So this is a fresh plant that is still green right now. It has flowers and that kind of thing in the summer, but right now it's still green. And so I brought some of that out, and I'm just gonna play. I'm just gonna play around. That's all that I do most of the time, is just see what happens. We don't know what's gonna happen unless we try. So I'm just gonna snip off maybe this to start with. I'm gonna lay it down on my, oopsie, I'm gonna lay it down on my rolled out dough, and then I'm going to roll it gently into the dough, pull it out. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. It's so pretty. You can absolutely tell what it is. I'll show you in a minute. And then, so then exactly where I've done here, I'm gonna put my cup. I'm going to turn it upside down. I'm going to pull it out, and then you can see the impression that the pine has made. And so then what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna take some water. I'm just gonna smooth out the edges a little bit so it's nice and smooth. This is maybe a little bit thicker than normally what I do. I'm gonna take something pokey, and I'll get something pokey like a chopstick or a straw, and I'm just gonna poke before I put it in the oven, which we'll put these all in the oven. I'll poke a hole in it so that I can hang it. But this is such a nice little reminder of what's going on outside, inside. When it comes out of the oven, then we could also take some paint, some light green paint, and just fill in that impression so that it looks really lovely. So I'm gonna try that again. I'm maybe gonna roll the dough out a little bit more. I'm going to find another item here, and maybe this time I'm going to use the cone, and I'm just going to take the cone, I'm going to see what happens, and I'm going to roll the cone onto the dough. That's kind of fun. And then maybe this time I'm going to make this shape, push it in, and bring it out, and then see what happens. That's kind of pretty as well. And maybe next time I might roll it a little bit harder. Okay, so I found some juniper and some yew. And the yew is from my front yard. And so I'm going to lay these in a way that makes it look like a forest maybe. Oh, you'll have to excuse my friends in the other room. Okay, like this, and like this. Oh yeah, and then what? Maybe this little guy. 3 different kinds. Oops. Oh, he's so tiny. He's a little shrub. Maybe in the middle. Oh, so cute. Okay, let's see how this goes. Oh my goodness. I've got an eyelash in there. Now I'm going to take my rolling pin. I'm going to roll. I'm going to press pretty hard because we know that that was a bit of a challenge before. That one looks good. This one looks good. That one looks good. Cuties. Okay, and so now I'm actually just gonna cut these. I don't know, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. Turn it into a little situation. Do, 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 do. Nobody has to know what they're doing. They're just playing, right? We're playing. We'll have most of my job, not most of my job, but a chunk of my job is convincing adults to try and to play. We have somehow come across the idea that unless it's going to be something we can sell, there's no point in trying to be creative or artistic. But we all have it in us. That's my belief. And we just need to try. And if you like the process, if you enjoy the time that you take, then you're gonna like what you make because you enjoyed making it. Okay, so here, this is kind of fun. I don't know. Look at, it's a cute little forest. Then I'll maybe put 2 holes, one on the top, one on each side, and then I'm gonna hang it with some of my things, my other things. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep playing. Are done. I'm going to put them in the oven for 2 to 3 hours. I have a convection on 200. Okay, I've got a few of these decorations out here, and I've just started to use some watercolor paints on to kind of highlight a few of the imprints. Okay, so I'm gonna let these just dry so they're totally not moist. And then if you want, you can put a clear coat over top, or you can just hang them as they are.